Hello, my fellow flawless, limitless, sexy, sassy, saucy HBICs. How are you on this lovely morning, afternoon, or evening? How are you all? I hope you're all doing fabulous. I got my puffer jacket on, so I look puffy. My boyfriend makes fun of this color, and my dentist's office said that I look like a pink highlighter. Why is that relevant? It's not. I hope you are all choosing to be the you that you want to be. The version of yourself that has the life you want. And if you're not, well, saddle up, because by the end of this video, you will. Let me just start out by saying, first of all, if this is the first time you've ever seen one of my videos, how you doing? I'm Kimberly. And I like to call myself the OG of recording in your car videos for at least manifestation content. Yes, I used to record in this car, but usually parked on the side of the road so I could make more direct eye contact, but we gotta be safe. I want you, well, I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Kimberly. How you doing? Yeah. If you can handle manifestation with a little sarcasm and sass, then you will love me, and I would love to be your friend. So if you're new, please subscribe. It's 100% free. Don't misunderstand the word subscribe, because I know a lot of subscription services cost you something. This doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. It just, A, helps my channel grow, B, also gets my content out there, and more than likely my content will start showing up for you. But that's not here or there. I want to first start off by saying that all manifestation content, all of it, is in some way trying to get you to believe or start assuming or start identifying as the version of yourself, or the self, or the identity of, or in the state of consciousness of you being who you want to be. In other words, so you start seeing yourself living the life you want that is filled with the things you want. You know, so I'm sure there's something on your mind that you would like to experience in your 3D reality. Pretty much all content is trying to show you a way to do that. And all different verbiage is used. The true essence of who you actually are is I am. So you're going to hear the I am over and over and over and over again. I like to make that a little simple by just thinking of every time you're thinking or saying the words I am, you finish it with something. Now, more than likely, if you're not living the life you want, there's a good chance you were finishing those sentences without even really knowing you were doing that by describing yourself or claiming for yourself the things you don't want. So in other words, if you're not happy with your appearance, you're more than likely saying, you know, like, I am ugly, I am too skinny, I am too fat, I am this, I am that. And I'm sure, you know, just hearing that, the words I am seem like just another set of words, right? Words. But those two words, I am, hold meaning. Because that is what God, or pure unadulterated consciousness, those were the two words that were used by unconditioned consciousness to place upon it a layer of belief, or we could say a layer of conditioning. So think of it like as consciousness, unconditioned consciousness. Unconditioned consciousness, the picture I get is darkness, but not scary darkness. darkness, and again, our human minds are only going to perceive a fraction of what pure, unadulterated consciousness is. You know, some call it God, some call it universe. I just learned from one of my wonderful HBICs, Gus. And Gus is apparently God, universe, and spirit. So we are all perceiving it in our own unique individual ways of what we think God is. I think of God as the all-knowing and also everywhere presence. The word you use to describe that is neither here or there, meaning there's not one right way. But again, think of space, darkness, infinity, no beginning, no ending. Think of consciousness, God, as being bored with that unconditionedness and wanted to play a game with itself to make life a little more, experience-y, a little fun, a little pizzazz. And that unconditioned consciousness started placing upon it a layer of ignorance, a layer of belief, a layer of... The one book I read, the author used a layer of ignorance, but not in a... I guess because I hear the word ignorance and have heard it used in a derogatory way, like you're calling somebody ignorant, right? But it's not meant to be that in my description here. And think of it as that consciousness stopped being unconditioned consciousness per se. Not officially, but it started seeing upon itself layers of belief. And it was using the phrase, I am, to put the layer upon itself. And eventually, as described by this book on a higher something consciousness, can't think of it off the top of my head, I will insert it on the screen for you. So if you want to read a brief tour in something consciousness, it's going to come on the screen right now. His description of what God, pure, unadulterated consciousness did was it just kept putting the layers upon itself, playing hide and seek with itself, but eventually placed so many layers of belief, conditioning, ignorance, that it forgot itself. And that's what every one of you and I are. So the idea of this grand awakening, knowing that you are more than just the person you thought you were, is that conditioned consciousness waking up to its unconditioned self. That's essentially what conscious manifestation is that presence, that beingness coming to the full awareness of already being whole, complete. Once you are aware of that, the fun begins, the way I see it. The fun begins. And the fun is that you get to place by choice what layers of conditioning that you want to wear as the I am. So, when we want to experience something in reality, the idea is to start thinking of yourself. Number one is the most important piece, the true self, the whole, the complete, unconditional love self that you are. And then from there, choosing who you want to be, what you want to experience in reality. Because you are the reality, you are everything. So all content in some way, in that whoever is making the video, is that person's perspectives and opinions on how to do that. And everybody who makes content has their own individual ideas. Hence, why there's really no wrong way to manifest. So, in saying that, if who you want to be, it like is a version of yourself, like let's say the you that wants to experience a romantic relationship with someone, and you have a particular someone you'd like to have the experience with, right? The SB. The idea is to be aware that that's who you are. The you that has that layer. The layer of conditioning, the layer of belief, the layer of assumption, the layer of knowing that you already are it, that self. Because you're already everything. And that can make someone, especially brand new to all of this, oh my God, it probably sounds so woo-woo, because it definitely sounded woo-woo to me too when I first found all this stuff. But what I also woke up to was realizing, oh, I've been manifesting my whole life. I just didn't know it. I call that unconscious manifestation, because you weren't aware that that's what you were really doing. So I could say to you, now that I'm awake, oh, I was manifesting all of my specific people, all the different people I dated. My whole life, I was doing that. I was putting that upon myself without knowing it. And that's not a good or bad thing. That's just the simpleness of how this actually works. But when we get bogged down with so many different ideas and perspectives on how to do this, we get bogged down. We almost put ourselves in bondage. Because if we're believing something about ourselves that does not feel good to us, it's bondage. And I'm sure when you first found manifestation and you come into that understanding that you actually have had a choice on what you experience in your life, I'm hoping that you start to feel free. Free. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is set in stone. There's not one life path for you. There's infinite paths you can take. Because you are the infinite. So, what I want to say to anybody who feels like they're struggling and not seeing changes in their outer reality, this is my invitation to you. Actually, it's a dare. I triple dog dare you to really, for a moment, contemplate what you've been saying to yourself up here. What have you been believing about your life, yourself, in the category that you're manifesting in? Because you're manifesting in all life categories, by the way, just so you know. But maybe you've got one that's sticking out to you that you'd like to change. What have you been saying? What have you been essentially agreeing with or deciding it's true? What are those things to you? And if more than likely, if you don't like where you're at in life, you've probably been agreeing with. Another way of saying it's like standing in conviction with. More than likely of what you don't want, what you don't like, what doesn't seem to make you happy. So after you've pondered that, so I would say that is step one, if there are locked in steps, and there really isn't. But this is just to help someone who came across my manifestation video of, here is some suggestions on what I would do if I felt like I was struggling. I would really sit and think about, what do I believe is true about that area in my life? And if it's a specific person, what have I been believing is true about my specific person? And when you look at those things, now being aware that who you really are is source, I am, that you actually get to make a new choice for yourself. That the things that you've been believing have been true no longer have to be true for you. Nothing can stick to you like glue. Nothing can. Because you're everything all at once at every given moment. You're limitless. And your source, like really, step 2, ponder that for a minute. Your source. You are unstoppable source. I almost said force. Source. I am. I would say step 3 is, now that you know that you don't have to just believe the things you haven't liked about yourself. You just don't have to accept them as the final truth anymore. Well, what do you want to experience? What do you want in your life? And understanding is important that that thing that you want to experience, it's not that thing that's going to truly make you happy. That happiness comes from within. The freedom in knowing you are source. I hope that feels kind of good to you, because that's where your source of happiness, love, joy is coming from. So who do you want to be? What do you want your life to look like? Start agreeing with that you're already that. Because you are. If your source, if you are the totality of everything in consciousness, all versions of you, think of it like that, all versions of you, then you get to decide who you want to be. And you've been in charge of deciding that your whole life, but maybe you just didn't know it. Once you've made that decision, I would say step 4 is okay. Now be it. Be it. Live your life knowing you are the source of all. So you get to live freely, deciding you are who you want to be. Period. And no one can tell you differently. What most people get tripped up with is they look out to reality. And if what they think should be happening, and if it's not happening, we slip back into like going to sleep again. And we start believing the outer conditions are telling us that we really aren't who we want to be. And we get ourselves all stuck in the cobwebs of your old beliefs, your old self. And we need to wake up again and remember, no. I am the I am. I am source. I am whoever the hell I say I am. No one else, nothing on the outside gets to tell you who or what that is. You are in charge of that. You get to decide. And bearing in mind that all of these suggestions I just gave you aren't necessarily the one right way to do this. If you didn't resonate with it, then I guess it's not for you. Maybe doing techniques is something that would feel more secure to you. But bearing in mind that it is not the techniques that manifest. It's not the techniques that are changing reality. It is your own awareness, which is who you are and how you see and perceive reality is your awareness. Your awareness of being. That has been deciding for you what your experience is. So in other words, some people feel that the techniques are helping them become aware, are helping them feel more secure, more confident that, oh, if I do these techniques, I feel safe that this is working. This is how or what I need to do to get life to change, to get the thing I want or the person I want. When it really wasn't those techniques altogether. But again, techniques aren't bad. That's not what I mean. I think that as you grow more confident in your understanding and who you are as I am, the more confident, the more secure you become in knowing that that is enough to change the outside conditions. But even that is a version of yourself. That's the beauty of this. You're always going to experience a version of yourself, and you're deciding who that is. Because you're source. It's changed my entire life. And I know someone who've watched a lot of my content, you hear me say that quite a lot. So I'm sorry if that's repetitive, but it's the truth. It's changed my whole life. I can't believe it's over 3 years now, but 3 years ago, I was someone who really stood in conviction of watching her state of consciousness. Keeping her eye on her state of consciousness, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's my point. There's nothing wrong with techniques. But as my confidence in my understanding of being source, of being I am, that became enough to just know that. And things that I wanted effortlessly, naturally were given to me, or you could say presented to me, or manifested in reality. And source, which is what every single one of us is, just didn't do that for me. It's for all of us, because we are all it. I will tell you too, the more your confidence in that understanding that you are source, the less judgmental you are on the different perspectives of manifestation. And by judgmental, I just mean being so obstinate, so stuck in your own ego self. Everything really is always working out for you. Everything is always really working out for me. Simply because I am. And my perspective is, it's just a matter of waking up to that. Getting that. You were always perfect. You were just asleep to it. That's all. Your life is changing. But if you feel stuck, follow the steps I suggested in this video. I'm telling you, it's going to change your life. You're going to have the life you want. And no, this is not me secretly saying, hey, buy my course. After you watch this video, buy this, buy that. You don't have to do anything. This is totally free. And yes, everything I said in this video is enough to help you. And quite frankly, you manifested this video to be presented to you. Just like I am manifesting me recording this video. The downloads that are coming as I'm speaking is all manifestation of I am. Get it? All right. On that note, thank you very much for being here with me today. I hope this helps you. I hope you are free to understand who you are and to know everything you want, honestly, is already yours.